one thing I would encourage the service providers in the room, though, is to don't take for granted that the policymakers, the decision makers at the state level are necessarily going to understand what your capabilities are with respect to some of these issues. That became very clear to me back in December when the Director of Iowa Workforce Development, Liz Buck, gave me a call and shared the following story with me. Our governor had been at a National Governors Association meeting in November, not sure where it was at, and you know, one of the presentations I heard was from a proprietary training vendor from Florida who had evolved out of the Katrina aftermath and specialized in short-term construction trades training. And our governor comes back and thinking about, okay, we're going to have this potential huge influx of infrastructure funding coming into the state, and he's also proposing our own state stimulus investment of $700 million of bonded infrastructure investment as well. Thinking to himself, okay, we're potentially going to need to retrain a significant number of individuals in the construction trades, and you know, and not necessarily thinking that that's something that his community college system and many other training vendors, including our partners in the apprenticeship programs, are already very well prepared to do. So he asked Director Buck to have these folks come in to Iowa and visit with her about their capabilities, which she did. And then the next day she called me and said, Steve, you can do this, can't you? And I said, sure. Do you want us to start tomorrow? But the red flag that put up the pole was that we had a governor and we had people in the governor's office who really didn't have an intrinsic understanding of what our capabilities are. So that we immediately, you know, sent the request out to our 15 community colleges to inventory as quickly as possible all of the credit, non-credit, short-term training programs that we already deliver, those that we have in the process of development at this point, and make that available as quickly as possible to the legislature, to State Department heads, and to the governor's office, which we did right away. And we've gone into that. That's a 45-page list of short-term training programs that we already have in place in Iowa. So again, I would encourage you to, you know, not take some of these things for granted. The second thing is, I think, in looking at some of the other funding streams coming through the recovery package, particularly the significant amount of money that's being directed towards green jobs and the healthcare industry and other areas of regional need. We had one of our community colleges in partnership with 5 other community colleges in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois submitted a grant to the Community-Based Job Training Grant Program this last round for an IT initiative that would help support, hopefully, a decision on the part of IBM to locate 1,300 IT jobs in Dubuque, Iowa, which is a town of 60,000 people and you know, a fairly still rural part of the Midwest. And this particular grant was not one that was funded. There were 3 in our state that were, but not that one. And then, you know, 30 days later, IBM announces that they're going to make that investment in Dubuque and are already working aggressively to ramp up the hiring process. It's amazing. You know, there are sectors, there are companies, and even though IBM has probably displaced 4,000 to 5,000 people nationwide out of their existing base, this particular service center is one that they've got to put into place, have to staff up, and they're on a fast track to get that done. And so we're going to, you know, working with our congressional delegation and our colleagues at the Department of Labor and our congressional state liaison out here to make sure that we have an opportunity to put that application back into the pipeline as quickly as we can, whether it's another round of funding in the Community-Based Job Training Grant or in the high growth side of the investment funding that's coming through to provide some support for one of those rare parts of our economy right now that is in fact growing.